Item Number SCP-Y-072. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Full confinement of SCP-Y-072 is currently infeasible. Foundation objectives are early detection, cordon, and extraction, not capture. Detection triggers. Treat any combination of the following as an active SCP-Y-072 event and initiate a 2-kilometer soft cordon. Triple fingertip taps on glass or wood. Low, band-limited laughter. Rectangular cold patches forming at door frames. Rolling shutter tears or clock drift in CCTV. Sudden appearance of bells, ledgers, place cards, or labeled doors, such as a reserved exit. Response package. Deploy nearest anti-incursion unit with perimeter-only SRA arrays. SRAs stabilize edges but will not collapse an active venue. Do not advance anchors into the scene. Name hygiene. On arrival, all personnel switch to call signs. No full legal names spoken or written in the hot zone. Confiscate visible name badges. Cover personalized decor, such as mail, plaques, or welcome signs. Operator avoidance. Do not ring bells, sign ledgers, adjust seating or place cards, read from podiums, or attempt labeled doors. Treat every prop as an active switch under host control. If trapped in venue, do not announce your full name. If a ledger or list is present, erase every instance of your own name completely. Partial erasures are ineffective. Take preference in unlabeled egress over labeled doors. Maintain neutral etiquette. No pleading or phrases like please. Avoid accepting social roles, such as a guest, speaker, or host. Force and ritual. Lethal force may create space for extraction only. It does not neutralize SCP-Y-072. Binding circles or compulsion rites are prohibited. The entity converts them to stagecraft. Civilians. Evacuate all civilians quietly. Issue cover as burglary in progress or utility hazard. Confiscate all recording devices that capture laughter, tapping, or venue props for on-site triage. Evidence handling. On-site cartilage, dermal vellum, bells, and printed programs are to be sealed as biohazard and anomalous media, and quarantined from staff rosters and identity records. Do not test ring recovered bells. Post-incident. Screen all responders for etiquette compulsion and name fixation effects. Administer mnemonic reset if indicated. File all operator interactions for pattern analysis. Description: SCP-Y-072 is a tall, emaciated, legomorph-like humanoid with advanced dermal decay, long straight ears, and fully black eyes, e.g., total aniridia, and carnivore modified incisors. It consistently manifests in a torn black tuxedo with simple shirt front, often with degraded white or black gloves. A faint odor of wet fabric, bone dust, and cold ash is reported at scenes. When still, SCP-Y-072 adopts the posture and manner of a courteous host. When unobserved, it traverses distance between frames without visible transition, referred to as blink movement, i.e., frame-to-frame displacement. Origin and access. Evidence indicates SCP-Y-072 originates from a thin, adjoining stratum of reality, informally termed Mischief realm, a plane historically separated from baseline by a veil that thinned around Mischief Night and Halloween. Since the destabilization associated with SCP-Y-001, Yesteryear, that veil appears torn, permitting out-of-season egress by Mischief realm entities. SCP-Y-072 acknowledges other beings from this stratum and collectively calls them demons, but presents itself as above all others. In its own words, they are its, quote, caste, help, or second hands. Foundation field data supports this hierarchy. Local Mischief activity declines when SCP-Y-072 is present, and lesser venues created by the Mischief anomalies collapse if it calls an entrance. Behavioral profile. SCP-Y-072 functions as a malicious Mischief abductor or predator, and a curator of rule-bound games, where the entity pulls victims into a liminal space of its own creation. Target selection is non-deterministic across age and risk class, with a bias toward thresholds such as porches, foyers, landings, and spaces that already imply social roles, such as podiums, host stands, or bell desks. At least 3 recurring modes have been documented. Closed-frame trials, serving as rooms made of rules. The victim experiences a seamless scene change at a threshold or role assumption, forcing them into a role such as a guest, speaker, or dancer. Near-field continuity persists. Clothes, pocket contents, and minor injuries. But the room becomes a curated tableau with hospitality, funerary, or theatrical scene logic, sometimes including escape conditions relating to seating cards, printed programs, guest ledgers, or podiums. Escape conditions exist sometimes, are never explained, and may change mid-trial if SCP-Y-072 is amused or displeased. Timekeeping degrades, clocks drift, personal footage collapses to static. In many cases, reports of a audience is present, beginning human-seeming and progressively corrupting as the subject delays. The audience will begin twitching, unnatural head rotation, exploratory sniffing, limb lengthening, or becoming disfigured, before rising to pursue the victim. Open frame predation. Rare instances of direct assaults in baseline reality. Forced abduction through doors or windows, with penetrating bites or partial consumption. In several cases, SCP-Y-072 animated residual tissue, e.g., a partially devoured animal, and sent the animated corpse back into a house to terrorize survivors. Stalking and siege. SCP-Y-072 has been found spending hours tapping at glass and wood, windows and walls, deliberate window passes and silhouettes, often with low, resonant laughter, before either breach or withdrawal. Across incidents, mercy is capricious. Only a minority of trials allow egress. Many terminate lethally, regardless of victim performance. Release often coincides with behavior that SCP-Y-072 appears to find proper or simply amusing. Conversely, it may end a trial with sudden, unprovoked violence. Venue mechanics. Within the anomaly's curated spaces, SCP-Y-072 exerts label sovereignty. Objects act according to the name it gives them. If SCP-Y-072 calls a sink a cup, it functions as a cup. If it calls a corridor an aisle, etiquette associated with aisles, such as a procession or seating order, becomes physically enforced. Name logic is central. Speaking or inscribing one's full name usually worsens constraint, while full erasure of the victim's name from a guest list precipitated immediate ejection in one documented case. Artifacts and signatures. Post-event recoveries of artifacts corroborate the venues as a material existence, non-hallucinatory. A stylus fashioned from dense human cartilage. DNA linked to an unrelated missing person, with microstriations from frantic erasure and leftover ink on one end. A palm-sized piece of tanned dermal vellum, covered in the subject's own name, overstamped with a childish rabbit head. Guest lists using inks bound with cremains ash and animal glue. Reports from survivors suggest that on-set cues include band-limited laughter, low, resonant, with subaudible components. Fingertip triplets tapping on wood and glass. Countermeasures. Scranton reality anchors dampen peripheral distortions, shadows shearing around the entrance space, or diffusing of disturbances and reflections around the area, but have not terminated active venues. They remain perimeter aids only. Conventional force can delay, but does not cancel a running venue. It appears that when the Foundation is able to send MTF members into the entrance of a venue, it is due to the fact that SCP-Y-072 intended for it to happen. Ritual subjugation attempts are routinely co-opted by SCP-Y-072 and transformed into stagecraft or new venue instances. Speech and stens. It is difficult and rare to recover audio of SCP-Y-072 speaking during the venues or trials. When it does, diction mirrors ceremonial hospitality with manic or playful tones, using the following phrases frequently: the list, seating, guess, intermission, final call, chop chop. It refers to other Mischief realm beings as demons, yet rejects being, quote, just a demon itself, apparently asserting sovereignty over them. Survivors who are released are oftentimes framed as a personal favor from the host, aka SCP-Y-072. The entity's tone is typically playful, amused, and cruel. Hierarchy of the Mischief realm. Field effects support SCP-Y-072's claim of primacy. It has been observed overriding other Mischief entities' venues. The prior scene collapses when SCP-Y-072 arrives. Audience figures in its room initially behave like staff. Disobedience is met with immediate removal or visible deformation. Interrogation Note. A Site-Y-1 occult methodologist, Dr. Isolde Morin, now deceased, performed a coercive saw-in rite intended to bind SCP-Y-072 and conducted an interview. Post-event review indicates that SCP-Y-072 pretended to be bound to prolong the exchange for his own amusement. The surviving transcript was reconstructed through SCP-Y-010 Death Knell, which records terminal narratives from the subject's perspective, covered later in Addendum Y-72-1. SCP-Y-072 should be treated as a sovereign host from a torn liminal stratum. It plays games, seats targets, cues responses, overrules other Mischief entities, and, if entertained, dismisses survivors. Most do not end up dismissed. Incident Report Y-72-1. Date: October 30th, 2000. Location: single-family residence, New Jersey. Victim: male, 41. No prior anomalous exposure. Summary: subject unlocked his front door after work. Porch light on, door camera active. The instant he crossed the threshold, the feed desynced, and the subject reported a continuous scene in which he stood at a funeral pulpit, facing an open casket bearing his likeness. Rows of seated mourners filled the chapel. The entity, SCP-Y-072, stood near the pulpit, head tilted, hands behind its back, emitting intermittent low laughter. Each attempt to leave forced the subject into a new instance of a different chapel, with distinct decor, casket orientation, and hymnal topography, preserving the pulpit with relative position. The mourners became progressively corrupted, twitching, cervical rotation of more than 180 degrees, and exploratory sniffing toward the subject. At 1900 hours, subject located a guest ledger on the pulpit listing a single name, his own, repeated on every line. Subject erased each instance using a nearby pen, described as slick and grisly, while the audience began to rise and advance on him. Upon erasing the final name, the subject reappeared on his own front stoop, falling backward through the doorframe. Recovered evidence. Artifact A hand-tooled cartilage stylus, sourced from a human, with ink residue. Donor DNA matched a missing adult, unrelated to the incident. Artifact B, a palm-sized dermal vellum sheet, densely covered with the subject's name in his hand, overstamped with a childish rabbit head symbol. Doorcam footage exhibits rolling shutter tearing, and a 6-frame lacuna at threshold. Thermal imaging shows a rectangular, sub-12 degrees Celsius patch, blooming across the door for 41 seconds prior to reappearance. Incident Y-72-2. Date: October 31st, 2000. Location: suburban cul-de-sac, Oregon. List of witnesses include a family of 4, 6 neighbors, and 2 patrol officers. Summary: multiple residents reported tapping at windows and, quote, a man laughing under his breath. Ring cameras captured SCP-Y-072's silhouette traversing panes, pausing to lay its ear along glass. At 01:26 hours, the family's 23-kilogram dog exited via a pet door after sustained scratching sounds from the patio. Exterior camera recorded a sudden occlusion and a brief blood spray pattern at ground level. 31 minutes later, the anterior half of the animal re-entered the pet door under its own locomotion and continued moving, jaws frantically clamping, and thoracic cavity visibly animated by external forces. The family barricaded themselves in a bathroom. SCP-Y-072's laughter is audible for approximately 9 minutes before the entity appeared to grow bored and simply left the premises, deanimating the dog. Recovered evidence. Partial remains of the canine presented no residual animating agency post-event. Bite shear appeared to be from elongated incisors, matching no known animal species. Window glass showed triple tap oiling, consistent with gloved fingertips. Residue contained carbon black and trace cremains ash. Incident Y-72-3. Date: October 31st, 2000. Location: 7th floor, apartment complex, Illinois. Victim: female, 28, returning from work. Discovered door ajar upon entry. Summary: upon entering her apartment, victim stepped into a narrow viewing parlor with black glass windows and a single door labeled Reserved Exit. SCP-Y-072 stood behind a host stand with a brass bell. Each attempt to open the labeled door resulted in no mechanical response. The handle would rotate, but the door would remain functionally not a door. Victim reported a compulsion to wait to be called upon. but believed that being called upon would mean her end. After approximately 14 minutes of failed attempts, victim noticed the door handle was simply attached to a wall, painted like a door. Victim then worked up the courage to get closer to SCP-Y-072, noticed and removed a place card from the host stand bearing her full name, and, acting on impulse, scratched out the surname with her fingernails until bleeding occurred. A service corridor then swung open behind the host stand, unlabeled. Victim ran through, then the scene collapsed and she fell into her apartment's dining area, striking the table and falling unconscious. SCP-Y-072 appeared on the apartment camera for 1 frame behind her, performing a bow. Recovered evidence: a place card, cotton stock, with gilded edge. Ink binder consistent with animal glue and ash. A brass bell remained on the apartment floor for approximately 30 seconds before sublimating into soot. Incident Y-72-5. Date: November 1st, 2000. Location: Common Street Busker Corner, Pennsylvania. Victims: trio of adults, violinist, and a crowd of 20 witnesses. Summary: a street-performing violinist playing standards lost control of their own body and switched, involuntarily, to a tune of unknown structure. Witnesses report their fingers twitching to the rhythm and, quote, moving on their own. A storefront camera recorded SCP-Y-072 walking in from left of frame, gloved hand raised as if indicating tempo, before beginning a sporadic dance, moving energetically to the sound of the rhythm. 3 bystanders began to waltz. Footage oddly showed their breath vapor condensed into their mouths rather than out. As the tune reached a break, each dancer suddenly vanished, but their coats remained animate, continuing to move to the song without bodies. The violinist, crying and pleading, continued through a jagged coda, bow hairs breaking. SCP-Y-072 stepped close, placing a gloved hand on the bow. The violinist played 3 more measures before the coats dropped to the ground, no longer animate. The entity gave a deep bow to the violinist and vanished between frames. Recovered evidence: a violin bow hair bundle twisted meticulously into a rabbit head knot. SPL meter logged a subaudible component at 17 to 18 Hz, peaking with each bow lift. Addendum Y-72-1. Artificially compiled interrogation log using recovered video, audio, and death knell report. Participants: Dr. Isolde Morin, occult methodologist, Site Y1, now deceased. 2 additional occult methodologist observers in Observation Room B, Site Y1, both now deceased. And SCP-Y-072. Location: Site Y1, Test Theater 3. The floor was aligned with an occult triple ring, cold iron filings, consecrated salt, and Rowan ash, with Observation Room B behind one-way glass. Begin log.
Binding circle in place. Ritual complete. SCP-Y-072. I would like you to acknowledge constraint.
House rules. Adorable. I acknowledge your decor, admire your centerpiece, and applaud your posture. Are we opening with the amuse-bouche, or going straight to the main?
You will remain within the circle and answer questions directly. You will not.
You will not. You will not. You will. Ring the bell when you want the next course. Or the check. I'm flexible.
This is an interrogation, not a performance and certainly not a dinner.
Everything essential is a performance. Births, deaths, Trials, funerals, treaties. Please be seated. Your heartbeat is the percussion.
Right. Let's move on to the next subject. SCP-Y-072. State your origin.
The foyer between doors. We call it Mischief Realm. How tidy. Not outside, not inside. Where names hang with coats and meetings wait their turn.
Interesting. And about you. You are a Samoan demon, are you not? Tied to or related to the holiday?
A holiday is a napkin, and I am the table. Host, not guest. Say it with me. Host.
Could you define host in your own terms?
I set the room. Write the rules, cue the lights, call the exits, keep the bill, and, if the house misbehaves, show them gently to the door. Or forcibly to the dark.
I see. And what is your rank relative to other Mischief Realm entities?
Above, headliner, program top line. The others on my cast, second acts, ushers, and occasionally, scenery, with opinions.
Explain that hierarchy. How do you categorize them?
Oh, good. Taxonomy. 2 grand families for your file. First, the hosts. My family compose rooms. We declare what an object is, and the room obeys. If I call a sink a cup, it drinks. If I name legs a bicycle, you pedal. Hosts hold etiquette as physics. Writers, the clever puppeteers, they borrow mouths. They wear your neighbors, your officers, your soothing voices. They add dialogue, but rarely good staging. They're prompt, obedient when they remember who feeds them, and ever so slightly messy. Both, dear doctor, take their cues from me. I invite, I dismiss, I overrule. Think of me as the contract and them as the signatures.
You assert sovereignty over both classes?
Assert? I exercise it.
So, SCP-Y-072, why the abductions and games?
Because a room without stakes is vulgar. Because panic is honest, and etiquette is clean, and the combination sings a lovely tune. And because it makes me laugh. A lot.
Are you saying that you enjoy suffering?
I enjoy structure. You supply the suffering when you break it. Would you scold a cliff for gravity?
So, it comes naturally to you. Moving on. Our model says Y001 is tearing the veil between worlds. Did that change your access?
A draft through the hall. And every napkin applies. Your quaint seasonal curtain. Its time is up. I was punctual once. Mischief, night only. Now I'm always available. Consider it a generous extension of hours after you Inquisitors in your clean white coats neatly knitted the fold between worlds.
Well, your welcome is not on record.
Then record it. I'm a great believer in keeping good detail. The day of mischief becomes the year.
Alright, moving on. In multiple cases, names and labels governed entry and exit. Explain the underlying rule.
Words are handles. A label is a physical law when I speak it inside my room. Cup, door, stage, I.O., guests. Say the right one and the universe behaves. Names are knots. A full name ties you tight, neat, compact, and oh so practical for keeping you in your seat. Erasure is untying. You must pull every loop. Leave one letter and the knot smiles.
Does writing differ from speaking?
Writing is heavier. Ink sits where sound passes. Paper remembers what minds forget.
What about false names?
Lies are wet string. They hold for a moment and then slip. And I adore watching you count on them. You'll not find me and mine caught in wet strings.
You don't seem too concerned about your predicament. The Circle uses iron, salt, and rowan. You recognize those deterrents as a demon of Samhain?
Oh no, silly Inquisitor. I recognize manners. You set a pretty table. You forgot to read place cards.
No need to act tough. You can't step outside that circle. You will remain inside it.
How cute. And wrong. I was playing along, charmed by it. Inside, outside. Such drab words when the mind is the real boundary. Let's dissolve some misunderstandings. Get a little closer for this chattering gap.
SCP-Y-072, step back.
Naughty salt. Pretty circle, not a lot. You mistake me for someone who listens to the rules, rather than making them. Let me disperse the salt ring alongside your misunderstanding.
You are breaching containment, which means you never had to show up in that ritual circle in the first place. Why come here then?
I saw the attempt, and awarded you for the effort. Quite magnanimous, I declare myself. Understand, little Inquisitor. I am defining terms. Learn these. Circle, decor, boundary, belief, operator, bell, list, card, door, cup, aisle, name. Your tools used to be operators. Now you hold up souvenirs and call them shields.
Dr. Moran, what are you reacting to? The monitors show the entity has not moved.
Cameras are such hopeful little liars. Let them keep morale.
Let's keep talking. Y-072. Surely you're not bored of the conversation yet. You referred to us as Inquisitors before. You said our methods worked once. Did the SCP Foundation confine you?
Your silly little Inquisitors taught a town to forget a door. You stood straight. You left your names off the list. Your chalk knew its house and never wandered. Curtain down, long down.
And now?
Your chalk wanders. Your names bleed into every surface. Accounts, tags, feeds. And your door sings because the door to the devouring world whistles through the frame. And I whistled back. I have excellent pitch.
So you adapted.
I rehearsed. You changed the theater.
Are your trials solvable?
Some are puzzles, some are performances, some are meals. Puzzles like clean erasures and proper bows. Performances want you to finish the piece without flinching. Meals require, well, courses. Sometimes the room wants a bow, sometimes a bite.
What decides which?
And that, I decide. Your word is whim. Mine is sovereignty.
By what criteria?
House tone, audience energy, your manners, my appetite, the moon, the way you say please. I'm not a flowchart, Doctor. I'm the host. Chaos is my muse.
Y-72. Stop moving. You will remain in the circle. You will answer plainly. You will not interact with the researcher.
Such modest requests. I love a cooperative house staff.
No need to bother with them, Y-072. Face me. Let's keep talking.
But the audience, Doctor, one must respect the audience. House right, house left, places, please.
Something Something is in Observation Room B, but we can't see them. Rear contact. Rear...
Intermission. Eyes front, Doctor. Your role is coming to a close.
Theater 3 to security. Theater 3 to security. Is anyone there?
Final call. Curtain.
This is Director Waller, signing off on another report at Site-Y-1. I hope you'll consider subscribing to stay up to date with our latest findings. I eagerly look forward to having your audience in future reports.